Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into another episode of the Rust Belt Rivalry Podcast. I'm Brian Phillips, the Red Shirt Fresh fan. He's Jason, no affiliations.
Still a free
Jason,
agent.
it's another beautiful day. You're a free agent.
Yep.
You're in a hotel. I'm in a hotel. We should just name this the Traveling Salesman Podcast.
The Hampton Inn Show.
I got no affiliations with the Hampton Inn. I am on Team Marriott. Thank you.
You're making a mistake, my friend. You got to come over to the dark side. Team Hilton. They're going to treat you wrong everywhere you go, and it's okay.
Oh, man. It sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Sounds like a dream come true.
And I just want to welcome everyone again. Two Idiots Talking Sports. We're back. You guys allowed us to come back.
This is like our fifth or sixth episode together. I mean, how could you not be more excited to listen to two idiots talk football?
Off-season
today
football.
We will
off-season football.
Off-season football. Well, actually, dude, this is the best week of the year to maybe be having a talk show because there's nothing going on aside from the World Cup, which is not going on right this second. There's no baseball. They're on a break. There's no basketball. LeBron has been dragging his feet like an old man for the last 4 weeks, still not making a decision. There's just nothing going on, right? So what better do you have to do as a sports fan, unless you're going to watch like reruns of old games, which is probably more entertaining than us at some points. But what else are you going to do, right? Tune in.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because Brian and I actually earlier in November, we watched an old Dolphins-Patriots game from 93, and we bet on the outcome of the next play. So was it a run? Was it a pass? We didn't know. So Dan Marino against Drew Bledsoe, it was riveting.
Oh, yeah. It was actually riveting for several reasons. But before we dive into that, just want to remind you all that we are brought to you by Dubby. Dubby, it is a clean, easy energy. Just little gummies that you take and you get energy. There's no crash free. You don't have that end of the workday slog that everybody gets. We are currently offering 10% off if you go to dubby.gg and use promo code NETWORK216, just as you see on the screen there. You can get 10% off your first order if you follow with the network. So we appreciate all the love. Oh, here you go. Fatty's already diving in, says, is this hotel room night? Yes. Are you bunking together? Oh, man.
Yes, we are.
We wish. Fatty, I've already had a request from Jason later on. In case you are not in the show later on today, I need you to tell us your favorite things about the football season, whether that's, tailgating, kind of like the poll I put up earlier this week, tailgating, rivalries, betting on sports, whatever it is, your favorite things. Put them in the chat. Same thing with everybody listening. If you could, we won't touch on it right now. We'll touch on it towards the end of the show. But what are the favorite things that you enjoy most about football, right? Is it the fall crisp air? Like, just tell us what it is, and we're gonna touch on those and what our favorite lists are. As usual, for those that are listening, that have been listening, we'll talk Browns, Bengals, Cowboys, and Lions mostly, but general NFL and offseason, obviously, today we already talked about. A couple of topics we'll try and touch on. We've got Grant Delpit. Is he going to get an extension? We'll talk about free agents that the Bengals could, should, would sign. Does Mike Brown have any money to sign them? Probably not. We'll talk a little bit about the Cowboys and Brandon Sorsby being linked together now all of a sudden, which I see Jason is a big fan of. I've also got a trade pitch for him for the Cowboys that he's unaware of. We'll talk about the Lions. Can they go from worst to first in the division? And then a little bit of OSU today. We're both big Ohio State fans, and I saw a thing earlier about Jeremiah Smith, and I kind of wanted to just touch on that. Jason, before the show started, we were already arguing about the NFC North division. Yes. So why don't we just start off with the Lions, right?
Let's do it. Yes.
You're a Lions fan, so I want to know from your perspective, can the Lions go from worst to first this year?
So
in the division,
I would never say never about it, and we'll bring everyone into the debate that we were having in a couple of seconds. But I think I don't think they will. So let's start there. I do not think they will go from worst to first. I think they fit right in that second place spot pretty nicely. And I even think for that spot, I think they really need the injury bug to stay out of the city of Detroit for the year, because the last couple of years they've been decimated by injuries. They need to have a clean year to even finish top two, I would say, or second, or second is I think as good as it's going to get for them this year. But they need to stay healthy, especially on defense. We talked in the last show, the defense is decimated. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, the secondary especially. You have Terrion Arnold doing Terrion Arnold things, which not an injury, I suppose, an injury to the brain because it was stupid. So actually, I used to have a gym teacher in high school that would say, "No brains, no headaches." So I guess Terrion Arnold ain't him many headaches because he ain't got a lot of brain up there.
Has the man had a concussion?
I mean, probably. I mean, you step on a football field, you probably had a concussion. So,
that's fair. We
won't touch that subject. But no, I don't think they're going to go worst to first, or from first to worst, or worst to first, whatever the saying is. I don't think they're heading that way. I think the division's going to stack out this way. I think it's going to be Chicago. I think Chicago is going to be the class of the NFC again, and possibly for years to come. And as a Lions fan, I wouldn't classify myself as a diehard Lions fan. I didn't grow up a Lions fan. I've kind of acquired this as a season ticket holder over the last 20 years. I'm more of a diehard Cowboys fan, but like as a diehard Lions fan, you have got to just feel it ripped out of your soul that the Bears essentially stole your blueprint that was created in Detroit, forged in the D, and they are beating the hell out of everybody with it. And they're going to possibly for the next decade because they have a very exciting young quarterback that is only, I think, going to get better. Ben Johnson, I think, is going to be the class of NFL coaches here very soon if he's not already. I think if they can keep building the line and building the defense and having a good enough run game to put with Williams, the Bears are going to be really tough to beat over the next, couple of years. And then I think the Packers and Vikings, I think, are going to bring up the rear. I think that it's one of the best divisions in football. I think with the Vikings being kind of, I don't know if Kyler Murray's the guy. Is he? I don't know. We're yet to see. I think they obviously have great receivers. They can have a good offense. The defense is here and there. And then, I think the Packers, and this is where our debate was. I think the Packers are going to be a mid-team this year. I think they're going to be middle of the road. They lost a ton of defensive production. You got Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary. Those are two stalwarts. Romeo Doubs. I know everyone kind of shrugs their shoulders at Doubs, but even you said they have a hard time with playmakers and bringing in playmakers. And, my whole thing is follow the money. He was 4 years, $70 million contract. Somebody thinks he's pretty good. So you're already taking a team that does not have great weapons, and you're getting rid of one of them. They love the tight ends, as you mentioned with Tucker Kraft. I think they have a couple other, 7 or 8 tight ends down there that they throw the football to. But and then Josh Jacobs, that's an unknown too because he can't, not domestically violate people. So, I think it's a question mark in Green Bay. I think they could very easily be an average team, and this was my hot take. Jordan Love is average. My hot take. I don't think. Really, look at his numbers, look at his completion percent, all of that, like mid or low 60% completion percentage, 3,300 yards last year, 3-to-1 touchdown ratio. That's great. But is he good enough to get it done? And Green Bay won't put weapons around him, and they're losing the running game. So middle of the road, third place at best. You heard it here first. Eagles, Packers, down.
I just think you're wrong. I don't know what else to say. Before I tell you why you're wrong, Justin is jumping in here. So thank you, Justin, for joining in. He said if that's a hotel in India, I hear Shoney's has some good late night talent. I'm sure that's a pizza joint or something, right? Shoney's. We won't get into that. This is not a late night show.
Shoney's is a breakfast buffet that is. They're not a sponsor of the show, so I can cut them down. They're not good, man. They're not good.
Okay. Jared makes fun of you, says cowgirls.
That's fine.
And then Justin says, "Is it really a surprise that the Packers bringing up the rear?" Ha ha.
Zing.
Oh, here you go. He said, as a Cowboys fan calling Jordan Love average, laugh my butt off. What's Dak then?
But I mean, I didn't say Dak was great. That wasn't a part of my argument. So, I mean, I think Dak's a better than above average or a above average quarterback. I think Jordan Love can only hope to be as good as Dak Prescott. I think at the end of his career, yards, touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you stack it up at the end of the career, I think Jordan Love would hope to have Dak Prescott's overall career statistics. And, hopefully, Dak gets a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't have a lot of hope in that, but hopefully he does. And we can put that dumb stuff to bed. But I mean, okay, you can't, I don't know. Let's compare two guys that don't win. Okay. Or just win regular season games.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just the general nostalgia around the Packers. Maybe it's just how they've been doing things for the past, 40 years. They go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to now Jordan Love, and it seems seamless. LaFleur seems like he's got it all under control for the most part. I don't know. A 3-to-1 touchdown ratio is pretty damn good, if you ask me. I think anybody in Cleveland will be doing backflips for that. Now, we said 3,300 yards. That's not great, but also that's the trend that's happening in the NFL, right? Everybody's focusing more and more on the run game, and we're not seeing so many of these 4,000, 4,500 yard seasons anymore from even like Mahomes or Josh Allen's. So I don't see the big regression that you do. They're also going to get Micah Parsons back. Mid-season, that's fine.
At the earliest.
Look, the thing I noticed is, okay, the Browns had the best player in football that was not a quarterback on the defense. He demanded double teams and triple teams and all that. And how many wins did that equate to over the last, 9 years of his career? Not a whole lot. So, while I know Micah Parsons makes them a heck of a lot better, I think they'll be just fine without him for a little while. They also picked up, you mentioned all the guys that they lost. They also picked up, I don't even know how to say his name, Brandon Cease, cornerback out of South Carolina, who everybody had, not everybody, but a lot of people had a first-round grade on. And then they went heavy on the defensive side of the ball for the rest of the draft. And they got a kicker named Trey Smack in the 6th round, out of Florida. So how could you doubt somebody who picks up a guy named Trey Smack? I mean, that just sounds like the football name you see on a football movie. Come on.
I do want to stand corrected. I am sorry. I didn't know about Trey Smack. And because of Trey Smack, Super Bowl. Mark it down.
Whoa.
But I mean, you're right. Trey Smack, but a kicker. That needs to be like a middle linebacker, like Trey Smack.
Sometimes the kicker puts up the most points on the team. So
that's true.
It happens frequently.
Especially when you're Browns fan.
Here you go. Kucherapa, Brian jumps in here and says, Spain has more playoff wins in 10 years than the Cowboys do at AT&T Stadium. Wow.
Okay. Like, I'm not arguing that the Cowboys are great. Like, you've not heard that out of my mouth. So
I think everybody just hates the Cowboys.
And it's fine. That is perfectly fine. I mean, I get it. Like, Dallas has 5 rings. It's hard to like the America's self-proclaimed America's team. It's hard to hate or hard to like them. I totally understand it. And I also know they have not won anything in 30 years. And most of these people that are commenting the main viewership of NFL is mid-30s and younger, I would say, probably. And so no one has seen them win. I get it. I totally get it. But there is a time when they were a dominant team. And there's going to be a time when the Patriots are no longer a great team. And we're going to look back at this and people might laugh at them. I don't know. Who knows? But look, I'm not here saying the Cowboys are great. You didn't hear that come out of my mouth. So
that's for another show later on.
Wait till the preseason show, guys.
Week 1 overreaction. Yeah. That's for when they're 1-0 going into the second week of the season.
God, I hope they're 1-0.
Yeah, and honestly, the Romeo Dobbs thing, I know you think it's a big deal. I think it's a nothing burger. I've I've not been impressed with any of the Packers wide receivers over the last few years. I think Jordan Love gets a lot more out of them than like say, I don't know, Dylan Gabriel or somebody who's a nothing burger would get out of them. Um, so and also I think Matthew Golden, while he didn't have a great rookie year,
Say it. Just put it. Nope. Give me a hot take. Give me a hot Matthew Golden take, please.
Matthew Golden is going to surprise. He's going to, not that 1,000 yards is anything to like exciting anymore in all reality, but like he's gonna have 1,000 yards. He's going to be the leading receiver on the team, and I think you're gonna eat your words.
All right, yeah, I'll eat a stick of butter if he is the best. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that because that sounds gross. But like. You were coming up to the line ready like to punch something, and then you like flicked it. You're like, he'll be a good receiver. Yeah, 1,000 yards. All right,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going crazy and say like 1,300 or nothing, but
I want you.
I give him 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like I think that's reasonable.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, his production should pick up because Dobbs is gone. So realistically, that should be his output. And if it's not, like then there's trouble in Green Bay, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Since we've crapped all over the Cowboys already, or at least our fans have, let's just keep that train roll. Let's move into the Cowboys. So I've seen some people talking about, and these are like Cowboys reporters, so maybe this is just the heat of the summer where there's literally nothing going on, but they're saying that the Cowboys were going to spend a second-round supplemental draft pick on Sorsby and have him be like the heir apparent to Dak, and that they were going to get him in the supplemental draft, or they were hoping to anyway. So number one, I know we've already kind of beaten the Sorsby drum to death, so you probably don't need to reiterate how much you don't like Brandon Sorsby. But if they do pick him up in the draft coming up 2027, I mean, 3rd round, 4th round, are you going to be upset?
No, and if it's a 3rd or 4th round. Okay, so the caveat is like, how did they do this season? It's like if this was a good year and they're a playoff team and they've progressed a lot and the defense looks a lot better, then like if you're spending a 3rd or 4th round pick on a lottery ticket like Brendan Sorsby, I'm cool with that. If you have a lot of holes to plug, like absolutely not, because I mean, Dak Prescott's going to be your starting quarterback unless something crazy happens for the next 3 or 4 seasons. So this kid's sitting on the bench regardless. And there's going to always be trust issues, I think, with the fact that, like, is he on the take? Is he gambling? I mean, it's an addiction. It is an addiction. And he has admitted the addiction by putting himself into inpatient rehab, which is great. I'm glad he's done things like that. However, like, can you trust him as the leader of your team going forward? If it's a late 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick, it's worth the lottery ticket if you don't have a lot of holes to plug. Outside of that, like, I would pass on him pretty much. I mean, there's maybe 4 or 5 franchises that could take him and like it be successful. Dallas is possibly one of those franchises, but I can tell you Vegas should probably stay pretty clear from him. So,
okay. All right. One other Dallas Cowboys related question I want to throw out there, because I've also been seeing some crazy stuff around this trade that I've put together for you. So you pick. It could either be a 2027 first round pick or a 2028 first round pick. I don't care. But a first rounder and Pickens for Max Crosby. Would you do that?
No.
No?
No.
Really? Why not?
Crosby's injured last year. I mean, I don't know what we got coming back. I think that's giving up a ton. That is giving up a ton. I think, first of all, I don't think Pickens is in Dallas long term. So but I don't think Crosby's a long-term player either. I think when you start to get to his age at his position with his injury history, I think you're going to see regression over the next couple of years, pretty significant, I would imagine. He might, as we talked with Myles Garrett, like he might have 1 or 2 more great seasons. But if you're giving up, because if you think about it, if it's a 2027, you can't touch that first round. We've talked about that like a ton of times. So you're thinking 2028. So 2028, you think that player is with you 28, 29, 30, and 31 at least. And like Crosby is going to give you maybe to 28 at like a high level. So it's like you're giving up 6 years of or five years of production, 6 years of production, and the contract you're paying out. No, like stay away, keep Pickens, bombs away, throw it deep. I don't know, make it fun. If they're going to be bad, make it fun. Like make it fun for me. I don't know. Like I want to tune in on Sundays, and if they're not going to win, I at least wanted to see it to be like 48-46 with Brandon Aubrey lining up from like the opposite 30 to kick a game-winning 90-yard field goal. Like, give me that.
You don't want another, 49-49 against the Packers again?
You know, if only Jordan Love was a little bit better. I mean and
that's a lot of points.
And head-to-head, him and Dak Prescott, pretty equal. In recent head, I should say.
There's that. What about, and I was thinking of this and just kind of like daydreaming, what if the Cowboys bring in Keenan Allen as their third wide receiver?
I don't think they need a third. And I don't think Keenan Allen is a third. I think Keenan Allen's an outside guy. I think that's where he's played his whole career. I think so. Lamb is good anywhere. So I think Lamb probably is better in the slot if we're being honest. So maybe Allen could kick out, but I just don't know if he has enough juice left to give you much. I'm really excited about Flournoy. And I know we talked about him in another show, and nobody knows his name. Nobody, like, if you put him in a lineup, no one's going to pick out Ryan Flournoy. But I think by the end of the year, at least he's going to be on, 20-25% of fantasy teams, possibly. I think he's going to be a good option. He had a pretty decent year last year, and they're putting a lot on him. I think they're really hoping that he is the third option. And I think they're really hoping, I think Ferguson also bounces back, because I think Ferguson opens up a lot for Flournoy. So we'll see. But I would not take Keenan Allen. I look at the free agents, and we were going to talk some free agents, and I don't know if there's much left out there. I mean, it's like Nick Chubb, like, okay, maybe if you need like a veteran presence in your running back room. Joey Bosa, like, can Joey Bosa be like a role player? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. At this point, the free agent market's pretty thin. So I think, like, if you're going to acquire anything, like if you're Detroit and you're talking about it, like you need defensive backfield help. Like, you have to be on the phone with the Browns. Like, hey man, Ward, I need Ward. We're going to give everybody.
We're going to speak that in.
We're going to give everyone brand new F-150s. And like, we're going to make this work somehow. But yeah, like, I think trade is at this point where, like, you got your roster cut downs and you have some surprise veterans cut possibly, but like right now it's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, I hear you. And we'll dive in a little bit more when we talk.
Let me ask you this. So go back to the trade. Like, would you take it so you're a Browns fan, you have Pickens and you need a pass rusher. Are you giving up a first rounder in Pickens for Max Crosby?
But we're in two totally different like realms right now, right? You've got an aging quarterback who is year after year getting closer to the end of his career. And we've got, when you look at our quarterback, it's just a big question mark, right? Where it's like, Shedeur Sanders, question mark, hopefully, maybe, possibly. Can he even beat out Deshaun Watson, who's got a injured shoulder, who can't even apparently make it through practice? Like, so we have so many more questions than like giving up one wide receiver to get a game-changing defensive end. If I was in your position, I would have given it a lot more thought. But I also get the logic of, you give a fair points, but I guess to me it's like, are you going all in, or like Dak can fling it all over the field, right? You don't need Pickens for that. Now Pickens and CeeDee Lamb last year, phenomenal, but also they were like, you're down every possession because your defense gives up a touchdown in almost every possession. So is it going to be the same this year if their defense is half decent? Probably not, right? They're going to be running the ball at the end of the game a lot to just beat clocks. So we do have a text that came in on the we'll call it the RBR text line here for the for the Cowboys. Where do you see the Cowboys finishing in the division with the Giants and getting Harbaugh, the Eagles, and a healthy Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders? How do you see that shaking out?
Oh God, you're asking me too soon. I'll answer it, but I'll answer this question with more detail, I think, closer to the end of training camp and preseason. But I will say,
fair enough.
I will say, as it sits right now, and I'm an optimist when it comes to the Cowboys, even though I shouldn't be, and I really should not be. But I look at the division this way: I look at Harbaugh, and I look at the Giants, and I say, okay, is there a sophomore slump coming? Do they have enough of like a run game without Scadaboo, or what's that injury going to look like? Is their offensive line going to bounce back? Yes, they have Harbaugh, but it might not be this year that they turn the corner. Do they have the pieces? Yeah, they absolutely have the pieces. Is Malik Neighbors going to be healthy enough? So I don't see them necessarily being a threat this year. Everyone knows my thoughts on the Eagles. I think there's going to be trouble there. I really do. I think Jalen Hurts is going to possibly make his regression or start his regression. He takes a lot of hits. His receiving core is much worse today than it was 6 months ago, and they had problems throwing the ball then. The aging offensive line, offensive lines like that, it's not a consistent thing ever. You cannot expect the same out of an aging offensive line. So honestly, and Jaden Daniels, health is always going to be a question mark with the guy. He looks like a paperclip out there. He's super thin. So I honestly think the Cowboys are going to finish 1 or 2 in the division this year. I think they figured out the defense enough to compete. And I think Dak Prescott and I think that offense is going to be pretty good. I think health is a huge factor in all of this, obviously. But I think first or second, I think it's going to be Dallas, Philly, Washington, New York.
Damn. Okay. Interesting. I'd
like to know the texter's thoughts on that. So texter, please text back in. If that's Brian's friend or something.
Text back in on the Rust Belt Rivalry hotline and tell me how you feel about that answer, or what your thoughts are on how you would rank those 4 teams in the NFC East, right? So let's dive in real quick. We're gonna have, by the way, we're gonna have a special guest joining us here in probably a few minutes. We'll leave that suspense for just a couple more minutes for you all to wait to see who that is. But we'll touch on real quick the Bengals, and hopefully this spills into when we bring in our guest. So the Bengals, I wanted to just talk about, we don't give enough love on this show to the Bengals. So let's just talk Bengals, general talk for a little bit. The reason I don't like to talk Bengals is because I feel like it's the exact same storyline every year the past, I don't know, since 2021, right? So the last 5 years, it feels like it's been the same story. Joe Burrow is great, got him to a Super Bowl, couldn't finish the deal because Aaron Donald took over the game. He's got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They're an offensive juggernaut. The defense has stunk for pretty much forever. The last 3 years at least. They always start off slow. Zach Taylor is a schmuck, and they can't figure it out on defense. Oh, and Joe Burrow has some kind of fingernail injury or something that keeps him out of multiple games a year.
Yeah.
So that being said, do you think that there is any players that they can bring in free agency, since you already mentioned how great the free agency crop is at July 15th of 2026? Yeah. Do you think there's anybody that they could bring in that could really make a significant difference?
So significant difference, I don't know. I will say, first of all, is Vontaze Burfict maybe one of the scariest players ever to play the game?
Oh, God.
He's never – I mean, if there's anyone that's going to, have a weapon on him on the field, that's the guy. He is terrifying, and he is also the dirtiest player I've ever seen. But we won't get into that. But I think that's the last time the Bengals were scary on defense, when they had a literal menace in the middle of the field. Never know what that guy's going to do. But I think adding a Joey Bosa. So we talk about their pass rush or defensive line areas and places that they can improve. I think I would leave the offensive line alone. I think this team depends completely on Joe Burrow's health. Like if he doesn't have that fingernail injury, a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of washed over because he's going to outscore everybody. But until then, like I think you get pass rush help. I think, if you can find a good linebacker to throw in the mix, they have two decent young ones. You can have a third one, and then you can find Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa is a good fit. Played football up the road in Columbus. He can give you probably 20 good plays a game at this point in his career. And like, that's probably what they need. And so I would say you have that veteran presence to mix with Dexter Lawrence. You get 15 to 20 high energy Bosa pass rushes. You probably put him on the field on long second downs and third down, obvious passing situations, but he's the only name I can see that's like maybe blinking at me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, before I tell you my thoughts, let's bring in we have our guest in waiting here. Surprise guest for the Rust Belt Rivalry podcast. Let's bring him on into the stage here. We've got Daniel Greco, formerly of ESPN and FanDuel, baby. Dan,
what's going on, guys? Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh man, I got no complaints today. As you can see, we are hoteling it, right? We're not in the same hotel. We're not bunking. Other people have already made jokes today.
We are bunking. Don't let Brian.
Yeah, there's the truth. We all knew the truth was there.
He's right over there. Don't let him fool you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. So we're not in as nice of areas as you are right now out in California, but I just wanted to know before we dive in here. So we normally talk mostly Browns, Bengals, Cowboys, and Lions. Dan, where do your allegiances lie right now?
Be careful. Be careful. Be very careful.
I'll tell you that growing up in California, I didn't really have an NFL team because I was never a big Chargers guy and I was never a big Raiders guy. So I hopped on a bandwagon that didn't exist, which was the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So the bandwagon that I got to lead the charge on was the Jaguars with a little David Garrard, MJD, Fred Taylor, Alan Hearns, Allen Robinson. I was like, oh, these guys are great garbage time teams. They score a ton of points, lose by 20. And now it's the resurgence has happened. Liam Cohen's great. Trevor Lawrence is fantastic. So we're all like, woohoo. So hopefully they can keep it going. But yeah, that's where I've had gotten all love for the Browns, the Bengals, the Lions, Cowboys, whatever you guys want to talk about. We're here.
So hold on. Before we get started, I didn't know that we were bringing a Jaguars fan on. I just didn't know this, and I'm excited because we have a friend that's like a massive Jaguars fan.
Love it.
Just likes their colors, I think, is where it started. But
the teal. Okay.
I need your very best Duval. Give us your very best Duval. And don't give me the Liam Cohen Duval.
I was going to say I could hit him with the Duval. But, yeah, Duval.
There you go.
That's how you do it. It's so easy.
It is. Have you ever been to a game down there in Jacksonville?
No, I want to so bad, man.
Well,
I just want to be in that pool.
I
just want to be in the pool.
Yes, and it's warm. And a pool's warm, and it's hot, and the game is probably awesome.
Why do you think it's warm, Dan? Do you think that's because
global warming? Maybe, I don't know.
Do you want to make an accusation that Jags fans are peeing in their pool?
Oh no, never.
Okay.
No, for sure they've got the blue dye thing, right? Where you pee like they do in grown-ups, right? For sure that's happening in there.
Something's got to be in that.
They don't allow that. Yeah, for sure. So you have this, even though the Jags seem like the biggest roller coaster every year, right? It's like 3-14, 11-4, whatever, right? Like I'm not throwing out accurate numbers, but it's like they're in the playoffs, then they're one of the worst teams in football. Even with Trevor Lawrence. So you have faith in Trevor Lawrence that he can take you guys all the way?
I have more faith in Liam Cohen than I do Trevor Lawrence. I think the receiving core right now is great. Brian Thomas Jr. needs to step it up a little bit after last year. A lot of drops. Parker Washington was awesome. Brenton Strange was awesome. The loss of Travis Etienne is going to hurt real bad, I think. But offensive line play was great. I mean, he was very pressured at a low rate. And I think that's when Trevor can really do his work. I mean, whenever he's pressured and he rolls out, he gets sort of flustered, throws it away, or does something really dumb. So when he's not pressured, he's awesome.
It's Jared Goff.
Okay.
It's
Yes.
Jared Goff. And
Yes. Keep him in rhythm.
Yes. If he's on a platform and he's standing there like a statue, like a bronze god, like he's good. But if you get him outside the pocket, good luck.
Yeah, you don't know if the ball is going to go right into the receiver's hands or get intercepted and be screwed.
Yeah, 100%. So what are the Jags? Okay, so we're sitting here in December. What do the Jags have to do? Because their division's pretty wide open, I would say. Like that division, every year you seem to have a new. I mean, Peyton Manning's gone, so it used to be the Peyton Manning show. So now it's like, what do we have to do in this division? We really got C.J. Stroud. You're looking at as probably your biggest threat at the moment. But sitting here December, if we were to say the Jags won the division, what has to be true for that to happen?
I think defensively they have to hope and pray that it's the same as it was last year with the takeaways. They were one of the top teams in turnover margin and takeaways, and that really just thrived for them because they turned those into points. And I think this year coming in, they still have Trayvon Walker. They still have Josh Allen-Hines. Like, they're going to get pressure on the quarterback. It's just forcing those takeaways. Devin Lloyd had 5 picks last year, no longer on the team. So they have to replace that somewhere, and hopefully that they can, because if they do, they'll probably win the division by a game or two.
I would agree. I actually completely agree with that. And I think Devin Lloyd is one of those that, like, as a Cowboys fan, and I'm the resident Cowboys fan of the podcast, so I've been getting crapped on here all day. But I think from a Cowboys fan, that was the guy that I was most disappointed in that didn't sign. Like, that's the fixer, I think, of the Dallas defense was Devin Lloyd. And they just let him walk, high step his way to Carolina. And it was just like, what are we doing here? And I thought he was a huge loss for you. I thought he could be a huge addition for Dallas, and he ends up in Carolina, which I think Carolina's on the up and up too, possibly. So
yeah, they're gonna challenge that division. I think they're gonna be real good. What'd you think of the Cowboys' defensive moves this offseason? They had a bunch, and they definitely needed it.
I really like them. So I'm a Buckeye fan as well. So Caleb Downs, that's in my heart. That's a great, and I think we've talked on this show a lot, but like he's the fixer that they needed, because for the last, as long as I've been watching, well, not so long, but like, last 10 years, going back to like the Wade Phillips years and in those, they have been consistently outclassed in the mental aspect of football. And it's been like bad penalties, out of position, late to checks. And it's just like everyone's in disarray. And last year was like, you didn't have the talent to get back in, to get back right once you were out of position. And so the Caleb Downs instantly fixes that. I think Rashawn Gary, I think, is a good pickup for the run stopping. They've not been great at stopping the run in the last 10, 12 years. If you look back at their playoff games that everyone wants to look back on over the last decade, it's been like 12 belly all day, like just up the gut. And so they have defensive tackles finally. I'm really excited about their defense this year. I think if it can be a marginal defense, top 15 in the league, even 15th, I think that they're a playoff team that could. And I know we're going to get some people to chime in here, I'm sure of it, but I think they can make a deep run in the playoffs if they just have a marginally healthy defense and they play league standard defense.
Well, speaking of teams that had real crappy defenses last year, right before you jumped on here, Dan, we were talking about not the Cowboys. Sorry, we were talking about the Bengals. I keep getting those mixed up. I don't know who gave up more points last year. We should probably look that up. But the Bengals also made some decent moves to improve their defense this year. They obviously, big move was trading their number 1 pick for Dexter Lawrence with the Giants. But they didn't seem to do a whole lot at linebacker, but my buddy, who's a big Bengals fan, seems to think they did enough at safety and in the cornerbacks positions. Do you think that the Bengals defense is good enough now to let the offense shine without having to just basically race to 50 points? And if not, either way, I guess, are there free agents that you would like to see the Bengals bring in before the season starts that would really help their team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think realistically, last year, just like how you brought up the Cowboys, they were one of the worst teams pass defense wise across the league. Obviously, they had issues with Hendrickson being injured. I think, like you said, marginally better. I think they probably win 2 or 3 more games compared to last year. I mean, I know you guys, when I hopped on, you were talking about Bengals outscoring people, and I could just picture the Bears game going like it was 47-42 and everybody scored in the last like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, they just needed one stop. That was it. But yeah, I think what they've done so far defensively, they probably will be in the middle of the pack in the division. I don't think, I mean, I'm not really high on the Steelers, obviously, no offense to the Browns, but I think the Browns are doing a good job rebuilding. And obviously the Ravens got Hendrickson, so now it sort of steals from the Bengals. But I think the Bengals can do a nice job at least competing in that division with their defense.
Love it.
So we talk about the Bengals, getting better possibly, and Dallas, being a sleeper. So sitting here today in July, who are we not talking enough about? Who is a team that the masses are just not talking enough about that you want to proclaim as possibly being a team this year?
I love it. So I'm particularly high on the Chargers.
Okay.
I think Mike McDaniel, the hire of Mike McDaniel, will make their offense significantly better. They're going to use 2 running backs a lot more. They could hardly run the ball last year. They were getting stuffed at almost a 20% rate. So they were either getting 0 yards or negative yards on 20% of the runs. That's outrageous.
That's bad.
Yeah, terrible. I think that he'll do some great things offensively for Justin Herbert, where he's going to get the ball out quick. Tua Tagovailoa had the second fastest time to throw last year. Justin Herbert was 25th out of 33 qualified quarterbacks. So I think he's going to turn that offensive around. And I think that division is wide open. I know everybody's like, oh, the Broncos they won 14 games last year. 11 of those were 1-score games. So that's not going to repeat. The Chiefs, sure, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like, you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Kenneth Walker now. You still have Travis Kelce. You still have the same guys on defense, but they're a little bit older. And I think that the Chargers have a chance to sort of overtake them, because realistically, they made the playoffs last year with no offensive line help. Everybody was injured on that team on the offensive line. So I think they can take a big step and possibly make a deeper run than people realize.
I love it. And I want to stick here for a couple minutes, if you don't mind, Brian, because I think this is an interesting division, and I need to send you back to our last podcast, and you can watch it later, but we talked backup quarterbacks, and there is nothing more deep in my heart than backup quarterbacks. And I think this division is the backup quarterback division this year. I think because if you've seen Bo Nix's ankle, that thing ain't ready. That thing is ugly. And so, you look at a question there, and then you look in Kansas City and you have a question with Mahomes. I label, Justin Fields. I'm excited about Justin Fields. I know Brian's excited about Justin Fields. This is his first time having coaching since he left Ohio State, like actual coaching and development, hopefully. So I think I'm more excited about him after Mahomes gets back from like a gadget play type of a standpoint. But this division is wide open, I think. And I think it's interesting with the Chargers. Now, do you think Herbert is for real? Because I everyone tells me he is for real. And then I watch on Sunday and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, some weeks he's really good. Other weeks it's like, I don't want this guy on my little league team. Like, what are we looking at?
So I think he's sort of like under the Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, has to be grade A, perfect pocket, perfect everything for him to be successful. 2 years ago, he had 4 picks, and then had 4 picks in that playoff game. And everybody's like, what just happened? I think he just needs the proper teammates around him, a good offensive line to protect him, because he does like to hold on to the ball. He loves, sort of like Shedeur. He loves to hold on to the ball, sort of make a play. And that sort of gets where he gets into trouble. And I think that's what Mike McDaniel will do a great job, is just, hey, here's your 1-2 read. That's what you're doing. Nothing more, nothing like you cannot. These are your 2 guys that you need to focus on. That's it. But I think he's legit. I hope he's legit, because I think if he is like 2 years ago, the Chargers will be great.
I personally have a concern because I would agree. I love watching the Chargers because I love their uniforms. I love like kind of everything there. I love that they were in San Diego. Like that whole thing was cool. Now they're not, obviously. But can Mike McDaniel and Jim Harbaugh coexist? I say absolutely not. Jim Harbaugh is a freak, and Mike McDaniel is equally a freak. I don't think that coexists.
The spectrum on there, just hey, here's this hard-nosed guy. He wants to run the ball, and I mean, so does McDaniel, but also just their style, personality-wise, is just so.
One's vaping on the sideline, like one, no.
One's got a nice outfit, the other one's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's only a 1-year marriage. Like Mike McDaniel is getting another head coaching job next year. Come on, let's be real. This is a one-stop shop.
Maybe.
I think so. I'm pretty optimistic on that. Well, the Browns are near and dear to my heart. I think you know that. So on the Rust Belt Rivalry text line, I had another question come in for you. So this fan wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Browns wide receiver room? They didn't draft a wide receiver with the first overall pick this year, but they did with the second and third pick up Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, and they already had Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond, Cedric Tillman, other players that probably aren't going to be as maybe be afterthoughts. But what are your thoughts as an outsider on the Browns wide receiver room right now?
I sort of liked their draft. I honestly, going into the draft, when they still had everything, I was like, for sure, they're going to take a wide receiver in the top 10, maybe. Like, there's no way that they're not going to take a wide receiver. And then they took 2 in like rounds 2 and 3. I love Boston. I think he's a great fit. Casey Concepcion, also a great fit. I love the big play potential out of you guys. And I mean, I have no idea if Deshaun Watson hasn't played in 2 years. So who knows what you're going to get out of that. And I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is the guy either. So, I mean, I'm hoping that, they can make some plays deep down the field and open up the offense.
Man, I sure hope so too. So if you had to pick Deshaun or Shedeur with all the knowledge that you have of being on the Browns coaching staff and all that, I'm just kidding.
I was like, dang, you're putting me on the spot. I mean, like, it's like one of those, I'm like, I know. I was like, there's not the quarterback on the roster, right? Like, it's got to be coming up next year in the draft. But I'm like, oh, who do you go with? Like, do you tank for it, or do you go with Deshaun and hope maybe you get 5 or 6 wins?
Jeez. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, one of the fun notes that I found was that since 1970, no team has lost their entire starting offensive line in a single offseason. That was the Browns going into this offseason, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And yet I love their pickups.
I do too. I
was like, they're going to be solid.
Yes. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Well, I was going to say,
I'm excited about the Browns. As an outsider from Ohio, like, I'm excited about the Browns. I don't have to live and die with it like Brian, but like, I'm excited about it.
Brian, how do you feel? Are we excited for the Browns, or are we just like, it's another season?
Man, I was so excited. I was like, it was the typical Browns progression, right? It was like, okay, building up to the draft, I'm like super pumped, and then draft night, I was like, and then as the draft weekend went on, I was like, oh hell yeah! I'm like, we're going up, baby, we're going up, and I'm actually excited about Todd Monken. But then I started hearing all these reports of how terrible the quarterback play was when they were just in 7-on-7s with no pass rush and in shorts, and I'm like, I'm a big Shedeur guy. I thought they should have picked him with the second pick last year in the draft. I was high on him. I thought he had what it took, like the boxy and all that stuff. But I don't know. I just keep hearing the same bad news continuing to come out of camp and all the beat reporters that are actually honest. So I'm like, and then Deshaun, I think that experiment is over. Like, I'm tired of beating that dead horse. And apparently he's already got shoulder soreness from just, again, 7-on-7. So it's like, if you can't make it through that, dude, there's no way you're making it through a season. What are we doing trotting this guy out? Like, to your point, are we just trying to lose? Because we know he's not going to be good, right? There's
Yep.
nothing left there. I can't imagine that 3 more injuries since his last bad starts have made him any better. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hoping the experiment's over. I think Shedeur will at least last this year. As you said, value for Shedeur. If you think he was going to get drafted second, you got him that late.
Yeah,
I think maybe he'll be better than last year. I think that's for sure 100% a fact. He had like a 57% completion percentage and 7 touchdowns at 10 picks. I don't think it's going to be like that, and especially since he was getting pressured all the time. The Browns had the highest pressure rate allowed last season, so if the reworked offensive line gives them about half that, and they rank 15th instead of first allowed, I think he's going to probably maybe get to like 20 touchdowns and maybe hopefully like 15 picks.
Hell yeah, it's progress, baby.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
I want to take a detour, Brian. I don't know where you're going next, but I need to go back before I go forward. It's like a Matthew McConaughey commercial. So, so earlier in the show, I made a comment about how Jordan Love is I think an average quarterback, and somebody chimed in because they had to that. Well, Dak Prescott's an average quarterback. Who, if you had to win over the next couple of years, you had 3 years window, are you taking Dak Prescott or Jordan Love? I personally think Dak Prescott, I personally think, and this is my opinion against a Cowboy fan, that Jordan Love at the end of his career would hope to have Dak Prescott's statistics. And he would think that that's a very highly successful career. I don't know if we'll get there though.
Ooh, man, that's a tough question because I don't know if you guys seen the notes about Toyotathon and Jordan Love because he crushes it during Toyotathon when they sell cars. It's hilarious. You should definitely look it up on Twitter. Jordan Love Toyotathon. You're welcome.
That's hilarious.
it's hilarious. I think for me, I would probably go Jordan Love. I think he does. Damn. I think he does more with less. He had the 3rd highest QBR last year. Tucker Kraft went out injured. Romeo Doubs he had. Christian Watson. Like, he doesn't have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens thrown to. I think that, he's got average guys and Dak's got pretty much grade A, grade B plus for the top 2 wide receivers. I think that Jordan Love's the guy.
But isn't that part of the equation too, though, of like who is on the team? Because ultimately, like, you have who you have, and your career is going to be based off of who's around you. I mean, so I'll disagree. I'll be the one. I'll be the contrarian here. I will be the Dak Prescott stan. But
so here's my question. My question. If you flipped them, would you be happy or sad?
I wouldn't be neutral. I mean, they're both. I mean, to this point, they're very similar people, very similar quarterbacks. They do very similar things. They provide very similar value. I think Dak Prescott is getting older, so his ability in the run game is not as dynamic as it has been. I'm sure Jordan Love maybe gives you a little bit there. I think Dak Prescott is probably a better leader as a quarterback at the moment. So there's intangibles to put into that. So I think it's a neutral flip. I don't think anyone's going to gain or lose a game because they have Dak Prescott or Jordan Love. So I think that's my personal opinion on it. And I think, again, Jordan Love's going to hope to have Dak Prescott's numbers at the end of his career.
Yeah,
it's a shorter career. It's a shorter career. So
I was going to say that's not the worst thing in the world to have Dak's numbers. I mean, 4,000 passing yards every season is not so bad.
And he is in the MVP talk every year until October hits. So we got that going for us.
That is very true. I'll tell you that. When they play the Giants and they lose 47 or 49-47 in overtime, and Dak's got 5 touchdowns, it's not so bad.
Looking good.
All right, are we done with the
we can put Dak Prescott away for a minute. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're like, tell me which quarterback is better, and then he tells you, and you go, well, you got to factor in his wide receivers too.
He's trying to get his guy some love. I respect it.
Not enough people pay attention to Dak Prescott in the media. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Oh yeah. Alice gets no love.
You've lost the plot.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got one more question for you, Dan. So
Yeah.
after you get off here, we're gonna dive in. We've got lists that we've made, our top 10 things that are our favorite things about the football season. Like maybe it's the crisp fall air, which you don't get to enjoy, or maybe it's like eating chili or tailgating or betting on games or whatever it is, right? What are some maybe 2 or 3 things that are your favorites about the football season?
So I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about living on the West Coast is when you wake up, there's football pretty much 1 hour after you wake up. Games start at 10 o'clock. They end at like 8 o'clock. It is a reasonable amount of time. I don't have to stay up until 11 or 12 to watch Sunday Night Football.
It's pretty
You
good.
just watch football when you wake up. You have dinner and you're like, oh, the game's over. Literally, chef's kiss. Throw in a London game at 6 o'clock. Sure, why not? That is peak for me.
What is it like to go to bed at a reasonable time on a Sunday like that?
Oh my God. You're telling me this? It's literally, you watch football. You're like, wow, I've watched every game this week. And you're like, this is great. You have your red zone on, you've got it, like your actual stream of your team. And you're like, wow, this is great. I get to sleep. I got to go to bed at a reasonable hour. I got to see my entire fantasy team lose for me. Like it's, it's a great Sunday until you find out that your fantasy team loses.
Yeah. Brian has to deal with that a lot, so he knows.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was the Buffalo Bills. I finished second 3 straight years, and then I picked Malik Neighbors last year, and then it just went downhill.
So I'll tell you, this is not a great story because it's kind of sad, but I have a fake championship in fantasy because the ESPN league assigned it to me, even though it didn't happen. And so what happened was, if you remember when, and I'm going to forget his name, but the guy for the Bills.
Oh, Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin had his incident on the field. So we went to an extra week in our fantasy league.
Oh,
An
okay.
extra week. But that game ended. And so they assigned me the league champion. So I have a trophy, but I do not have a championship. And it's going to haunt me. I think it's going to be the curse. This is the new curse of the Bambino, and I'm living it.
You don't deserve any trophies, Jason.
That's awesome.
This is my life.
Well, Jay, do you have any other questions for Dan before we let him get out of here?
So outside of the game times, is there anything else that you can think of that is your favorite or least favorite part of the football season?
Ooh, least favorite and favorite. Okay, tailgating is pretty awesome. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's not the same on the West Coast compared to the East Coast because obviously, again, you guys have more time to do it during the day, and you wake up and you get up at 7 o'clock and you go. What would be my least favorite thing though? I mean, I guess my least favorite thing is like these months, right? Like this is just brutal. Like
yeah, it is. Waiting
for training camp. You're like, oh, just get me. I'll take a preseason game. That Hall of Fame game sounds real good.
Oh no, that's always such a letdown though.
Yeah, but it's football.
It's true.
It's back. It's back. That's all we care. Oh yeah. Well, Dan, we appreciate you coming on, man. Tell everybody on our network, on our podcast, where can they find you? What are you doing right now? Is there any way we can support you, give you love?
Yeah, man. You can find me on Twitter, Daniel Greco 21. Right now, tweeting out baseball stuff until football season gets underway because we're waiting. But yeah, besides that, be starting up at the NFL in a little bit, so it should be awesome.
Good, and we're gonna have you back hopefully. So if be ready for that invite because we're gonna have you back sometime during the season to talk some Jaguars football.
Oh, just do the entire show Jags football. Just
we'll add the Jags. You know what? Rust Belt plus Jags.
Plus Jags, yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah, we're just adding smaller and smaller fan bases
until you get the whole league in there. I know.
If there's just one leak in that pool, it'll be rusty in that stadium. So don't worry about that. So.
Yes.
All right, Dan. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem, guys. Have a good one.
Duval. I like that guy.
Oh my goodness. What a great! Like I said, I haven't gotten a chance to get to know him that well. Now we know he's a Jags fan. So now we've got a correspondent. We've got 2 correspondents now for the Jags.
Yeah, we have a lot of Jags references and Jags people. It's an odd odd team to have friends from.
It's crazy, and
he's
you
in
were
California.
talking,
like,
yeah. Well, I mean, but you think about it. I mean, his story is very similar to like Matt's story, where it was like he just never had a team.
yeah,
And the Jags started up, and it was like, oh, great! Like, and as a guy who's a Browns fan, whose team is brown, orange, and white, like, sure, if my team was teal, gold, and black, I'd be like, sweet,
there's
like,
a
let me
cool
pick
like
that, right?
jungle cat on the helmet. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Ain't nobody picking the Browns as like the coolest team with the coolest colors, the coolest mascot. So, I mean, good for them. Good for them. And they've had much more winning than I have in their short time as a franchise than the Browns have. All right, well let's start off with your let's dive into your favorite things about football. So we'll dive into yours, then we'll talk about a couple other things, and then we'll dive into mine. So let's see if this works. Nope. There we go. Oh boy. All right, we're not crushing it here. Dang. I don't like that.
What happened?
Nah, it's all right. It just let her rip. It's not playing out how I want it to on the small screen, but that's all right.
We'll do
let
it.
Her rip. What are your so these are your favorite football things for the season. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
So this is like, for me, this is like the ancillary benefits of football. So like football is obviously the big win. Like we're all excited to watch football, but like what are the best things about football that aren't football? And so I made a list here, and I think about this quite often. This is how I spend a lot of my time. But like chili, growing up in the Midwest, chili equals football. There's nothing better than on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's like 26 degrees outside. I don't want to go out there, but I got a big hot bowl of chili and I got all day of football. Let's roll. And then being a scrub and it being okay. Like it's legal to wear pajamas from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed. And you know what? As long as you're watching football, no one's saying anything about it. It's a lazy Sunday. You can classify it as a lazy Sunday and you can be a scrub. Tailgating. Who does not love tailgating? I will say, as an avid football fan, as an avid tailgater, there are times, and I'll be honest, hand up on this one, that I'm disappointed when I have to walk in the stadium. I'm like, look, I want to stay at the tailgate. I'll tell you, when I was at LSU at a game, I didn't want that tailgate to end. I didn't want it to end. It is a different world, my friend. And so like the game, which I saw Jaden Daniels, the best statistical game from a quarterback ever, I saw it live, and the tailgate was better. Hand up on that one. Miller Lite. We are not sponsored by Miller Lite. However, Miller Lite, we'll take your call. We'll answer the phone if you want to sponsor us. Nothing better than cold, ice cold, refreshing Miller Lite watching a football game. And you know what the best part of that Miller Lite is? They come in packs of 6. There's another one in the fridge waiting for you. Cold morning, warm coffee before college game day. It's 8:00. The kids aren't up yet. It's cold outside. The air is crisp. It's a fall morning. Before this year, you were going to see Lee Corso on TV. You got your mug of coffee, and you're just ready to rock and roll. It's going to be a great day. Complaining about fall weddings with the boys all year long. You get that invitation in June. And you're like, oh my God, look at the slate of games that day. And you complain about it for 5-6 months. There's nothing that brings a group of guys together more than complaining about a fall wedding. And I'm telling you.
And also like knowing that he had no choice in the matter, right?
Oh, like, yeah. And then making him feel bad about it.
Yes.
And there's nothing better than that. And then getting there that Saturday, and you know what? You guys tie one on and it's a great time and everyone's got their phone out and watching the games. But up until then, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. Eating way too much. This is the best part of football, I think. You got your stretch pants on, just eat as much as you want. And it's like the Super Bowl of eating is they surround it with football. Thanksgiving. Just eat way too much food. And it is great. Beating the hell out of a rival. As an Ohio State fan, we've had the luxury of this for 20 some years. I know Michigan wants to claim 3 years. There's some cheating in there. Maybe we'll do a whole show about your cheating allegations. Maybe we won't. Maybe we don't want to spend any time on it. However, beating the hell out of a rival. Dallas beating Washington, Dallas beating Philly. The Browns might beat Pittsburgh every decade or so. So like beating the hell out of a rival is a lot of fun. A big upset. Saturday, it's a big upset. The fans rush the field. It's like the greatest thing ever to watch an upset, and especially in college sports. And then last but not least, the best thing about football is nobody knowing what a catch is. We are still not knowing what the hell is a catch in football. And that rounds out my list of my favorite things about football.
That's a good list. I'm not gonna lie. That's a damn good list.
Thank you, Brian.
I usually give you crap about your list, but that was a good one.
Thank you.
Fatty,
spent a lot of time on it.
You did. I know you did. Fatty chimed in and said his favorite things were tailgating, meeting new people, pregame shows, and hopefully a winning season. So that's obviously Brown's focus there. I also did a Twitter poll on our Twitter account. Now, this is kind of misleading because there's only 4 options that you can give on Twitter. So I try to do like 3 options and then an other for comments. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but basically I put tailgating, which got 50% of the votes, which won by a landslide. Rivalry games, 25%. Other won 17% of the vote, and the only response in the comments was drinking, right? So another guy who loves Miller Lite, slosh, drinking, of course. And then I put as the 4th option was parlay building, and that one got a whopping 8%. So fans joined in and participated in that. And now we'll talk about the real list here. My list, of course. Where are we at here? Why is this not working? Oh, gotta click it there, bud. All right, so my list, again, the list. Let me do just a quick slight adjustment here on the small screen. For some reason, it just wants to hide your face, Jay. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. All right, so favorite football reason for me is the return of NFL Sundays or even Saturdays, like just the return. I mean, we just talked about it with Dan. The wait, it feels like it's so long, right? You finally get to the first preseason game. You're like, yes, football's back. And then it's like, but it's just preseason. And it just like deflates. So that first weekend, Labor Day, right around Labor Day, right after Labor Day, when the NFL season starts, when the college football season starts, there's really nothing better than the build-up and finally the first weekend that it kicks off. Fantasy football trash talk has got to be now, these are not in any particular order. I just labeled them 1 through 10 because there's a list of 10, but fantasy football trash talk has to be one of my favorites. It is like the way that most of us guys that were like buddies in college still keep in touch, or buddies from high school or from a long time ago, right? I have like 4 different fantasy football leagues, and everybody's like, how can you keep up with? And I'm like, well, number one, it's really not as hard as it sounds. You're doing 4 drafts, and then like you're just picking up the same players every week anyway. So instead of doing it once, you're looking at the same waiver wire for four different leagues. So it takes a minute and a half a week rather than like 25 seconds. Not that big of a deal. But anyway, football trash talk is the best throughout the week. Telling somebody you're going to crush them and then putting up like 60 points. There's nothing better than that. And then they get to just crap all over you for the rest of the week. Rivalry games that divide households and friends groups. So this, I just keep thinking back to college. Like maybe this is nostalgia for me because I don't really have a whole lot of this going on right now. But just thinking of like us going to school in Toledo and our fraternity that we were in, half of it was Ohio State fans, half of them were Michigan fans. And we would go to the tailgate every year and just absolutely butt heads and talk smack. And the loser was always like crying in the corner or puking drunk or whatever, like so upset. And the winners were just like celebrating. And Ohio State won a lot, obviously. So I think of that more of a college thing, right? I'm very torn when it comes to like the Browns versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. If I think of it from a Buckeyes perspective, I'm like, yeah, championships and like playoff runs. And I think of it from a Browns perspective, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy a lot more things like the crisp fall air. But the the excitement of a new season and endless optimism. So again, this is more to my like Browns fan side. Like right now, we're just so excited. There's no losses on the record book. We're not like 2-12, and it's not woe is me. Everybody calling into the radio station telling why these 13 people deserve blame. Stadium atmospheres and crowd noise. There's nothing better than being at a live game, like especially when the energy is high. Like I think about when Baker Mayfield came in for the first game for that Browns. The energy it's just shattering. Like you can't even replicate it. You can't ever forget it. The smell of bonfires after the games. For me, I'd like to double down. I force my kids that don't really like football. I'm like, hey, we're doing a bonfire tonight, and Dad's gonna watch football as well. Like while we enjoy hot dogs, s'mores, whatever, and we watch football and we enjoy a fire. So that's just like a double bonus for me. Overreactions after week one. One of my favorite parts of football, like, your team wins and it's like, oh, there's the guys that are going to the Super Bowl. It's like, no, it's the Browns. Like, let's just pump the brakes. Shador's not going to be a MVP candidate. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so funny. But it's every year, and it's just hilarious. For me, I know this is the exact opposite for you, but primetime football on Thursdays, to me, Sundays and Mondays is not so much like it's more of a dislike for me, because usually about halfway through the year, I've like run through all my football time, right? Like in my head, and the Browns suck. So I'm like, screw football. I don't care. Like, I just want my fantasy football team to win. So Sundays and Mondays are not as exciting as Thursdays. Thanksgiving, I love Thanksgiving. That is my one day of the year as a father of three. Like, I don't get to watch all the games ever on Saturday or Sunday. Right now, my kids are just different ages, so that's never happening. If we don't have anything on the calendar, I'm still not doing that because I still have to spend time with my kids. So just the Thanksgiving day, though, like the whole family's together, right? So there's, grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles. So like the whole family's together, and we all are just in the living room, and football is on in the background the whole time. So I can like multitask, even though I suck at multitasking because I'm a male. And lastly, I mean, you already mentioned it, the return of chili, soups, comfort foods. Like,
hell yeah.
It's no longer, nobody gives a shit about their body anymore, right? Like summer is over, right? Yeah. Nobody cares how fat they get in the winter. It's officially bulking season, and you can eat like crap, just like you said. And there's no shame in it, because it's like, when's the next time I'm not going to wear my shirt? Oh, that's right. Probably June of next year. Who cares? That is June Brian's problem. That is not Brian's problem in December. Just going to eat some more snacks, baby. So
yeah.
That is how I round out my list.
That is, I look, hand up. That's a great look. That's a great list. I forgot Thanksgiving, and you're right. That is the best day of the year. That's the day. That's the day for dads.
As a father with kids that loves football, it is one of the best days, because it's like you're not getting that excuse to just like watch football while the turkey is cooking ever again. So now there is one thing that you don't like, right? Yes. Or a few things that you don't like.
Yes. These are the worst parts of football season. Did you make a graphic for this, or I have on my phone here? So this is the worst part of football. And if there's anyone out there that can want to chime in, you may not have ever noticed this before, but you will never not notice this now. On CBS at around 6:30 on Sundays. In the Midwest, the sun is down. It is dark outside, and then this little clock, this starts ticking. Tick, 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 tick. And you know what? That's the ticking of your demise towards Monday. And I hate it. It is every Sunday in the winter, this stupid clock is just like starts the Sunday scaries. And I hate it. This is the worst part of Sunday. Worst part of football is 60 minutes. You heard it here first.
What else do you got? What else? I know there's other things that you don't like.
Yeah, I also don't like Thursday night football games. I think we've talked about this before. You and I at least talked about it. I think Thursday night, I think towards the end of the season, a lot of the guys are banged up. It's hard to get them to like turn around that fast for a Thursday game. So Thursday games seem to be more of a dud than other games. Maybe it's just because they're prime time and highlighted that I say that. I don't know, but I typically don't like Thursday games, and they're on prime. So when I'm on the road, I don't usually get them, which kind of stinks. And then my other thing is the post-game interview on Sunday Night Football, because that is the official end of the weekend. And you're just like, could not be more deflated because you're like running to bed at 11:45 at night. And it's like, hey, got an 8:30 meeting I can't wait to get to. And oh, by the way, like that interview, I'm just stupid. Like it sent me right off into it. So those are my 3 least favorite things. And 2 of them deal with the end of football. So
I was going to say, the only thing that I could come up with was just like the huge time suck that it is. Honestly, like, again, we have younger kids, middle-aged kids, whatever you want to call them, like kids that need, fathers in their lives. Okay. So it's like, you've got to prioritize, and then it's like, you get through the week and you're like, I want to watch this game, but you're like, I got to mow the lawn, or I got to do leaves, or what. And it's like, there's just never enough time to watch as many games when you've got the family dynamic of young kids, growing up kids, whatever, kids in sports. There's just a huge time suck if you want to try to watch everything. Like, I tried even just to watch the highlights from every game. I think YouTube or somebody does like a 5-minute highlight of each game, and just doing that for 16 games a week. I mean, that's an hour. I'm not doing great math in my head, but like over an hour of devotion.
Yeah.
So it's just a huge time suck. But man, we have just blown by. This episode has gone so fast. We barely even touched on the Browns. We barely touched on the Bengals. We barely talked about Grant Delp, but we can definitely save that for the next show if you want. I mean, is there anything else that you want to dive into today before we say our goodbyes?
I don't think so. I think today, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think for the next show, which, we'll tease this, I think we're going to do Hall of Fame football snacks. I think is something that we're going to put together lists of Hall of Fame football snacks. So if you're listening, put your list of Hall of Fame football snacks. And you can even break it out. First ballot Hall of Fame, second ballot Hall of Fame, and then lower. So, we're gonna tease that out a little bit. So be prepared with your lists, because we'll like to debate you possibly on yours.
And the other thing we're going to start, hopefully for the next show, is we're going to, at some point over the season, we are going to put a all Ohio NFL team together, and then an all Alabama NFL team.
California, Texas, Florida, and Ohio.
Let me write this down. Cali, Texas, Florida,
and Ohio.
Yeah. So we'll do an all state of each of those NFL teams. We're going to break down. We're going to have to come to some kind of agreement or whatever. Maybe we'll have the fans vote. We'll have you guys chime in. So if there are any all Ohio, somebody who played football in Ohio in high school that went on to the NFL, we're going to need your help to come up with those rosters. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to have them play each other in a mock simulation, so to speak. And again, ask for fan participation and have you guys tell us, would this team that's all Ohio beat this team that's all Florida or whatever. Obviously, it might be a little more biased because I think a lot of our fans are in Ohio, but you never know. So, all right. So that's to look forward to. Next week we're off. We'll be back on July 30th, 31st, what have you. And then starting August, we are every week, baby, probably until dang near the Super Bowl. So if you're wanting more Rust Belt Rivalry podcast, it is coming. And if you've got ideas, you want us to try stuff, send them our way. Give us the like, give us the follow, give us the subscribe, both on the network and our own YouTube channels. Jason, any last words before I cut us out of here?
Nothing. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Get out there and do something football.
Dak Prescott is still not as good as Jordan Love.